Hey, welcome back again, everybody, to the Stadium Journey podcast. Thanks for joining us. Check out our website, stadiumjourney.com, to find all your sports travel information. We've got reviews of over 2,500 stadiums, ballparks, gymnasiums, rinks, you name it, pitches from all around the world. They're all finally in one place at our new website. Check out the new design. It's awesome, man. And let's see, social media. You want to follow us and be cool? We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, we're even on Threads. We got in there first day, like everybody else did, right? You can find us at Stadium Journey. Don't forget, like, share, follow, all that good stuff. If you're interested in listening to other episodes of the Stadium Journey podcast, pick up your phone, simply type in HIAC Talk Radio Network. Wherever you look for your favorite podcast, you'll find us there too. If you'd like to watch old episodes of our Stadium Journey podcast, just go to our YouTube channel. It's Stadium Journey, for those of you who weren't listening a second ago. And if you want to be part of our live studio audience, join us every other Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern at danlaw.tv. Let me take a minute and introduce everybody before we begin. Dave Cotney's here from the cabin that is not a green screen backdrop, as he told us before. That is actual Canadian woods. Follow him at ProFan9. Mark Viquez is here. He is also not in front of a green screen. Those are actual baseball hats. And you can follow Mark at Ballpark Hunter. And the above average comedian, Dan Colachico, is here. That's not a green screen for Dan either. That's all kinds of memorabilias. Follow him at DanLaw83. And I'm Paul Baker. I am in front of a green screen. No, I am not. But I am having technical difficulty, so I am on my cell phone. So if I sound different, look different, better, worse, oh well. We'll deal with it. You can follow me at PuckmanRI. So tonight, let's start our discussion, gentlemen. We're going to talk baseball, America's pastime. So for years and years and years, for generations, it has been at the top of the sports heap here in America. However, times change. Baseball is kind of struggling to find its place in the sporting landscape if you consider the big four, even if you consider the big six sports. Let's lump in car racing and let's lump in golf racing too. Yeah, auto racing. Yeah, sure. So baseball is no longer at the top of the heap like it once was. You know, the powers that be have even changed some of the rules to try to re-energize the game and get fans interested and back in the seats. So panel, let's start off by asking the important question here. Can we still consider baseball to be America's pastime?
By name, yes. By popularity, facts, figures, money, maybe not. Maybe if you ask a 15-year-old boy, 15-year-old young kid in high school or middle school, they may tell you something else because the kids I teach.
15-year-olds in middle school. He's in trouble.
Well, you know what? There are some. There are some, believe it or not. Okay, 15-year-old freshmen in high school, let's say that. Yeah, if you ask them, football, NBA is going to probably be a little bit bigger than baseball. And yeah, that's just, I think old guys like us, well, some of us, baseball is a sport we grew up on and was the national pastime, and the World Series was the thing to watch. So was the All-Star game. But I think if we look at the facts and figures and talk to a younger demographic, they may say something else. That's why we have these rule changes. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it's definitely not the most popular as it once was. But you know what? Let's face it. The big three at one point were baseball, horse racing, and boxing.
Yeah, talk about early 20th century. Yeah, absolutely.
1920s.
Wow, horse racing and boxing are almost falling off the cliff there. You know, the horse racing, they talk about 3 races,
three
and
times
boxing.
a year.
Geez, I don't know. Do they even talk about boxing at all? Sometimes they talk about it on PTI, but those are old guys too, right? So
yeah, older than us.
But I think I think you're right, Mark. Like the younger demographic is definitely not as entrenched into baseball as we were. I mean, I can go around my hometown and I look at places where I used to play baseball, and they're gone. They were bulldozed. Now, in my town, a lot of the grounds were on schools, and the city and the school board does not get along very well, and basically it became a fight about who's maintaining these grounds. And the city said, "Well, it's your land. We're not maintaining it." And the board said, "Well, we don't care about baseball, so we're not maintaining it." So, and in many cases, they just bulldoze them. And I don't
Problem
want to say
solved.
baseball is a fringe sport, but it's far less popular than it was when I was a kid. Far less popular, and I'm not talking about as a spectator sport or anything like that. I'm talking about actual participation.
Well, I think I read a study not too long ago, or maybe one of you guys told me about this study that said the average age of the hardcore baseball fan, I don't know how you define a hardcore baseball fan, is like 54 or something like that.
I feel so young.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
still
below
old.
average.
I'm still old. But as someone who works during the summer for a baseball team, I can tell you that the crowds that we get generally are older people or families, because teams market themselves as affordable entertainment. So you'll bring your family, or you'll see a little league team come to the park, but you don't see that in between. You don't see a bunch of 20-year-olds hanging out at the ballpark, a bunch of 30-year-olds hanging out at the ballpark, unless they're there with their kids. So there is a chunk, you guys, I think I have to agree with you guys, that there is a chunk of the population missing at the ballpark.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think regionally, like I have a lot of friends who are Cincinnati Red fans out here, and when their team's winning, they're going to the games. They're excited, But I think regionally and locally, fans get excited about their team. The Red Sox, the Yankees, the Mets, the Reds. I mean, when the White Sox are winning, they're exciting. The Cubs just seem to have this huge following, so they get a lot of attention. But when you go to a minor league baseball game, you're right. It's families, it's kids, it's a mom with having her kids run around, roll down the hill, eat food. Thirsty Thursdays or college nights, some night where you get a lot of folks in there not even paying attention to the game. Like if you go down to Nashville and hang out in the bandbox, or go down to I think it's the Switchyard in Birmingham for the Barons. There's spots where people go and not even watch the game. They're there to socialize and mingle and drink. Young kids are there to meet up with the opposite sex or the same sex, depending, and just hanging out. They're not watching the game. They couldn't tell you the score. They're not. And then you got the old fogies, I guess, keeping score in the grandstand away from all that ruckus. So I think minor league baseball has found a way to kind of pull those fans in. So yeah, it's baseball is a little bit interesting in that aspect, where you look at the minor leagues and the major leagues and seeing what they're doing to pull fans in.
Well, here's you know what, it's interesting that you bring up minor league baseball, and Mark, you're good with the dates, so you can sort of fill in the dates. But if you're looking at baseball as a full big industry, Major League Baseball has done everything within its power to make minor league baseball nearly irrelevant. So one of the things that we were talking about at convention, we're sitting there during our 2-hour rain delay at the Woo Sox game.
Ooh,
and they're showing the standings, and the standings are second half standings. And I'm asking, like, what is second half standings? Like, what is this? How do you follow this? And at one point we had September call-ups, right? So, if your AAA team was in first place and you lost a bunch of guys because they're going up, to call-up. So, how do you make a playoff run? Like, is there anything more irrelevant than playoffs in minor league baseball? Like,
and what's funny is, like, if you compare like the two teams, the two sports with big minor leagues, baseball and hockey. Hockey is like playoffs, and the AHL has even put more teams in the playoffs and added more rounds. Baseball, like Dave just said, is going the opposite way. They are eliminating the playoffs. There's not going to be even any playoffs in AAA this year. I don't know how they decide who's the champion, because
they're not doing a playoff in any of the AAAs.
I think it might be like the first half winner and the second half winner. And if anything, it's a best of 3. I don't even know if it's that. I don't even know if it's a best of 3. So they've gotten rid of the playoffs. So
no, go ahead.
yeah, the philosophies couldn't be more different.
Well, I know I've talked to people and they said that with the playoffs, with the regular season, you plan months ahead. The off season, you know what promotion you're going to have that day. And when you have the
Oh
playoffs,
yeah, yeah.
it just shows up and you're like, okay, what do we do? I have seen in the past some teams have food specials or whatever promotion they have on a Monday or Tuesday. They prolong that. But you're right. Those are the playoff games. I've been to some Indianapolis Indians games for opening round. There's nobody in the stadium
Oh yeah.
because
But you know
it's
what?
not
Minor
having
league
no.
hockey playoffs are the same way, Mark. The
Yeah,
first couple rounds of the AHL playoffs, there's nobody there. But
But
yet
that kind of
they're
makes
adding more.
sense, doesn't it? That
it does. Yeah,
It does. Yeah, it does.
what's happening at the same time as minor league hockey playoffs or minor league baseball playoffs, major league baseball playoffs, NHL playoffs, right? So, you
football
know,
for
are
college football.
you itchy to? I guess it's kind of we're strange, we're weird. For the most part, we'd rather go out and sit in the stands than sit at our televisions. But there's plenty of people who would just rather sit at home in front of their television and watch,
My
you know,
brother.
watch the big leagues, right?
Yep.
But
Yep.
Mark, there's something else that you said that I think really hit the nail on the head, and I think
Okay,
it's
let's hear it.
different for baseball. Well, actually, I don't even think it's changed that much for baseball, and that's that baseball is far more regional than anything else.
Yes.
And I don't feel that although baseball was the national pastime at one point, I don't feel like it was any less regional than it is now. What's changed? Well, you know, horse racing, baseball, those were great newspaper sports. You go check the newspaper. You can how much information can
Find
you
a
get about a
newspaper.
baseball game from a
Yeah.
box score?
Yeah.
Probably more than anything else, right? Like you get a better sense of what's going on in a box score in baseball than you do in a basketball box score or maybe a hockey one's okay, but baseball was you go check the box score. Um, it, those are all the newspapers are disappearing, right? Like horse racing was huge in the newspaper. Newspapers are disappearing. Horse racing is like there's a whole gambling industry based on horse racing, right? Like the numbers you've heard of the numbers, right? The sort of illegal lottery that's been run in the streets all over the place. Well, I was
Mhm.
pick the pick the three winners in the three races. Essentially, that was what the numbers was. So, newspapers have fallen away. Um, we've gotten into this easy access for any kind of media. And this is where, like basketball has surpassed baseball. Like basketball is a highlight league, football is a highlight league. I mean, baseball, you get your highlights, but a lot of the time they're the same thing. Like, you're watching a guy hit a home run to left or hit a home run to right. I mean, that's not that different. But basketball with the reduced attention spans, um, you have easy access to that. Football football success has been its nationality. It's been you can watch 4 games a week, easy, no problem, maybe more. You don't even have to have a package, and you can watch 4 or 5 games a week, and it
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily have to be your team.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
Packages.
from
That's yeah.
from my standpoint, like I don't have an NFL team in my backyard, right? So whatever we don't have to be Bills fans. Can we get the Jets probably just as much as
That's
the Bills.
yeah.
We get
You're right.
whatever, and football has been this national powerhouse throughout, whereas baseball has really stayed regional. The advent of television and more regional coverage has made baseball even more regional, whereas football has just become, big. Even college
Yeah.
football, right? Like you get the
Yeah.
SEC game of the week,
Yeah.
right?
Which has been popular for eons, even before
Yeah,
the NFL. So that just
Yeah, you're
continues
right.
success.
Yeah, none of us would even think twice about watching a Seattle Arizona football game, but How many of us would sit down and watch a Seattle Arizona baseball game on a
Well,
random Tuesday in
if I'm in
July?
Phoenix or Seattle, yes, at the game. That's
Well,
it. There you go. There's your scenario.
Considering a Seattle Arizona game's probably starting at 10 o'clock Eastern, I'm probably passing on that.
Or yeah. If they
How about that
happen to
women's
be
soccer
in the
game at
World
3 a.m.
Series.
Eastern the other day?
My neighbor, she's a huge Alex Morgan fan, was watching soccer. So, it's amazing how some other sports are picking up. But, we talk about regional. I have the baseball package. And then if I want to watch a White Sox game, it's blacked out, even though I can't watch the White Sox game on any cable network that I have. I don't even know what channel they're on. So, that kind of kills defeats it as well. If you're a Cubs fan and you have a cable package, you can find some channels to watch it at. But it's, yeah, you're right. Baseball is just, they've done some weird things to have like this snooty attitude, like, hey, we're the national pastime, we're still the most popular sport. And then, you look at the cable packages, the blackouts, and that just, irks a lot of people. It's like, man, I'm a fan. I want to watch the Cubs. I want to watch the Reds. A Royals. You may be a Royals fan. And then you get blacked out for some, silly reason that you can't figure out. I get it if I'm blacked out and I can go watch ESPN. But if the game's on Apple or Facebook, I don't know if they still do that on Facebook, it's blacked out, and then you got to decide where to watch it. I know there's Yankee fans that never know what the heck channel they're going to watch the Yankees on. Is it going to be, I think it's Channel 9 in New York now, which is odd because when I was a kid, Channel 9 was the Mets. And I think that's flip. Is it going to be on the Yes Network? Is it going to be on Facebook? Is it going to be on YouTube? Is it going to be on some ESPN? Is it going to be on MLB TV? Stop the guessing. With football, you know it's going to be on one of three networks, or four networks. No, three networks now, or four. Who knows? You know what it's going to be on. They let you know. There's no guessing on what that's.
Well, and what days too. Like if you're
what days,
watching
yes,
the Thursday game is going to be on, I guess, Amazon, and that
let's hope that doesn't
CBS
get confusing.
and Fox are going to have Sunday games, and that ESPN,
going to have
ABC is going to have the Monday night game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a little bit easier to follow in that sense. Yeah. It's funny you're mentioning the Yankees. This weekend, Greg Venuto was saying his dad complains about that all the time. I can't find the Yankee game.
Well, the way they're playing, you don't want to find them, but yeah, I get it. If I was a Yankee fan, I'd watch them no matter what. Like my package out here, the Met games are not blacked out that much, so I know where to find them. But you're right. If it's if I was watching the Reds, I'd be blacked out a lot and have to find someplace else to go. So yeah, it's confusing.
Here's another one for you. What's the best game to listen to on the radio?
Baseball.
It's baseball by far.
I would say baseball, right? Yeah.
Decline of radios. The technology is almost, surpassed it. Baseball does have kind of this snooty attitude. Yeah, they've really had to. They were at the forefront in getting stuff on TV, and then it seems like they sort of hovered for a while.
You see, video killed the radio star.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, here's the thing. When I'm at work, I listen to sports talk radio, and then sometimes, I'm listening to WFAN in New York, and they'll have the Yankee game on. So I'm hoping that people, no longer listen to the radio. Now you're listening to the podcast. Now you're listening to the radio feed on your phone. I hope that aspect of listening to the audio hasn't died out, because you're right. Sometimes you turn the TV off. You listen to the audio because off the radio.
Well, and
more entertaining.
Here's an interesting thought on like sports talk radio. What drives what? Is it the talk shows that drive the sport, or is it the sport and the ratings that drive the talk shows? Right. So, you've got kind of the big talk shows that are on ESPN or on Fox Sports or whatever. You got like First Take with Stephen A. Smith, and you got, Speak for Yourself or whatever. They're talking football already. Like it's August 1st. Training camps haven't even started. And, what's the big story that the coach of the Broncos is bad mouthing the former coach of the Broncos, and Aaron Rodgers is doing this for the Jets, and running backs aren't getting money, and this and that, and all of those talk shows are talking football, and I'm like, wait a second, we're in the middle of the baseball season here. How come nobody's talking about the Orioles being in first place or the Cardinals being in last place, right? Like,
Good.
sometimes I wonder who drives those. Is it the popularity of football that's driving that, or is it the shows want to talk about football and then they're pushing football popularity higher?
Yeah, no, you're right. You listen, I was at my brother-in-law's house and we're listening to First Take. I don't think I heard anything about baseball. I was all football, basketball, off-season trades, who's going where, who Stephen A. Smith thinks should sign with the Knicks. Nothing about how bad the Mets are. Nothing about how bad the Yankees are.
How's Damian Lillard going to
go.
get to Miami?
Yeah. You just, Aaron Rodgers, you heard about that. It's nice to hear about one of your teams you like, but, you heard about Saquon Barkley, signing that 1-year contract. Taylor, I was going to say Jonathan Taylor Thomas, but Thomas up in Indianapolis, having an issue with Colts owner. So you hear a lot more soap opera drama from that. But baseball has a lot of that. L.A. De La Cruz. I mean, that's an exciting person we should be talking about this year. What he's done with the Reds and how people, in Dayton, Ohio, and Louisville saw this kid come up, and this guy's hitting home runs and he's throwing people out. He's stealing bases left and right. That should be exciting. And
he
everybody
has
should
weird
be like, cool. Yeah,
rubber things on the end of his bat and gets in trouble for that. And did you see that? He had a little rubber thing that they made him take off on his bat, and then
I don't think I saw that. I must have missed that.
Yeah, it was I don't know, one of those stupid things, and then they made him take it off, and then he hit a home run.
Yeah, then he hit a home run. Somebody caught his home run. Every day there's a new story. He hit the longest ball ever not to be a home run. It's just crazy stuff.
From the kid's perspective too, right? It seems like basketball is just taking over, and is it just because it's so simple?
It's a lesser investment, so yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It's cheaper, possibly, but even from a mentality standpoint, like what rules do you have to follow? Like, what rules are there to basketball? I mean, they watch the guys on TV, so they know they can travel.
Dave, you may be younger.
Nobody calls
us,
fouls or anything like that. Sorry?
Said you may be younger than me, but you're sounding an awful lot older right now.
Well, that's true. I'm an old soul. But baseball is more complicated, right? And depending on where you live, depending on the number of immigrants that you have in your city, and the type of immigrants you have in your city, like, we have a high number of like South Asian immigrants. Well, they don't know anything about baseball, and the days of just coming into the melting pot and turning yourself into an American or a Canadian, like, those are almost gone. And they don't care about baseball, right? They'll talk cricket, and we're seeing that even here in like Brampton is a very, very high South Asian population. So hockey is nothing there, but there's a hell of a lot of cricket. So the demographics, I think play a bit of a part as well. And I look at Paul, when you were a kid, how many sports did you play a year?
As many as I could.
Yeah. Did you play organized sports?
Well, I wasn't good enough to play a lot of organized sports. So yeah, we played basketball, baseball. I didn't play football. My mom wouldn't let me. and she wouldn't let me play hockey, even though she should have. But yeah, so those were the ones. So there was no like organized soccer in my town back then.
Mark, what about you?
Oh, when I was young, I played baseball, football, soccer. Those are the organized sports I played. I did a little floor hockey when I got into high school. And I look back and probably should have paid a little more attention to football and baseball when I got into high school. But yeah, you played. You not only did you play those organized, your neighborhood played them too. Your kids, all the
Yep.
kids will knock on your door and
Yep.
say, "Hey, can Mark come out and play football or baseball?"
Yep.
So,
Yep.
oh, that's
Dan?
true. Those things happen. He's not here.
Ironically, it was baseball and it was hockey. I'm right here. Thank you.
Okay.
It was baseball and it was hockey, but hockey took the top for me. I wanted to play
Precedence.
basketball, but I was too short.
Yeah, and I didn't play basketball either.
So why did you stop playing hockey at the end of the year?
I stopped playing sports because my
Not
knees
at the
got
end of not
You
at the end
found
of,
girls.
of your career, but at the end of the year.
it was too hot.
Because the
The
season
ice
was
melted.
over, right?
Yeah,
then you
season
went-
was over. Yeah.
And then you went and played baseball. Right?
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
you know,
It was like it was nonstop. There was like 3 months off
Right.
a year for like a couple of years in a row there.
Right.
Like straight on, and then all of a sudden, it would have either been one or the other after high school, but then it kind of just for me came to a stop. But it was constant for years.
So what we're seeing now is
Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
the sports now. If you get to a certain level, it's 12 months. It's 12 month a year sport. So
yeah, kids don't play all the sports
kids
much
don't
anymore.
play all the sports. They play one, right? You got a lot of parent involvement who they're going to be the next whoever, or if I don't put my kid in summer hockey, then they're going to get behind or whatever. So you got kids playing the same sport for 12 months of the year, whereas us old fogies, we'd play hockey in the winter, we'd play baseball in the summer, or we'd play soccer in the summer, or whatever, right? So when you have kids playing fewer sports, they're exposed to fewer sports, they're interested in fewer sports.
Yeah, and plus you have parents, and then was it this or last weekend? I was in Joliet, Illinois, and I talked to a couple about how many times they go out to the ball game. Which Joliet, if you ever been to a Slammers game, is a very cool ballpark for adults. Like everybody's there drinking, having a good time. But the parents told me they don't get out to a lot of games because they have to drive their son to baseball games all over, not all over the region, all over the country. They're driving 8-10 hours for the playing a tournament. And I have a couple other friends that I work with, and they do the same thing. They're driving 10 hours, spending 3 days in Birmingham, 3 days in Greensboro, Detroit. They don't have time to get out to the games, which
any travel sport. Yeah.
Travel sports take up a lot of your time.
Let me tell you, the worst experience that you can get as a sports traveler, I'm sure you guys have had this, is when you're going somewhere, you go to a game, you go to a hotel, and then there's a tournament in town, and the tournament parents have taken over the hotel.
Oh,
I hate
yes.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's kids running in the hallways all night long. Yes. And the line to get waffles in the continental breakfast is like a mile and a half long.
Rather that than your room smelling like cigarettes because somebody decided to smoke and disregard
that's bad too.
The smoke detector. But
okay, so explain this phenomenon then. So one of the trends recently in baseball is the absolute explosion of summer college ball with bat ball. Wouldn't that counteract a lot of what we're saying because there are leagues and teams popping up all over the place?
Yeah, there's kids still playing. There's people still playing, and I think a lot of these summer collegiate leagues, especially like in Northwoods or Prospect, and there's other ones as well. It's an entertainment situation. It's come out to our game instead of a movie, or come out instead of going out to the water park. But yeah, the thing is, yeah, there's still a lot of people playing, but are people watching it on TV?
Well,
You
no,
know,
but they're all enjoying a certain amount of success. And as I made the point, I kind of thought in my head, well, this kind of proves the point that Dave was just making about the 12-month a year baseball player.
Yeah,
Because
if you
now
look at it
because now there's
from a
another
player's
organized
point,
league to play in. Yeah.
yeah, these are all college guys who are now playing another 2-3 months, right?
Yep.
yeah,
But
and
they're all I work for a summer college team, and all the teams around us are getting a couple thousand people a night. And in New England alone, there's 31 of these teams. And
Now,
we're not the only part of the country with these teams.
is that better than 20 years ago?
oh yeah,
I have no
Better in
idea.
what sense? Better in what
Uh,
sense?
more. Are there more eyeballs watching baseball at that level
Well,
now
20
than there
years ago.
were 20 years ago?
All right,
I
so
don't.
in my little corner of the country, there's the Cape Cod League, which has been around for 100 years, so that's always been here. There's the New England League, which has been around for about 25 years, and there's the Future League, which has been around for about 10, 15. So they're mostly relatively new.
yeah.
So
The
yeah, it's more people, more eyeballs, more people
well,
going out to the games in the
yeah,
summertime.
it's more teams. I know the Prospect League in 2004 was called the Central Illinois Collegiate League. I think they had 6 teams in a little pocket of Illinois, and maybe Danville, which is a 1947 stadium, might have been the best stadium they play in. Now there's 16 teams, I believe, and some of
Northwoods
them are
don't they have like 24 or something like that?
no, that's the Northwoods League.
Oh, okay. I thought you
They
said
have
Northwoods. I'm
about
sorry.
24. So now you have and back then it was a place just to get college players wood bat experience. Now it's, oh, we're going to treat you to a minor league ballpark experience, especially the Prospect League. And, the Prospect League's an interesting little loop there because some of these stadiums are very nice former minor league ballparks, and others are these
Yep.
small little parks that are like Charlie Brown's Christmas tree. They make it look as nice as they can, but it's still a grassroots feel. So, and I'm not saying that to disrespect them. I do like funky little ballparks like that, where you could buy a beer for $4, like in Cape Girardeau, and have a great time watching a game in a very nice element. But when one of your other teams play in a former Double A ballpark in Jackson, Tennessee, there's a huge divide there. It's like, what the heck? So, you know, uh, yeah, I think a lot of summer collegiate leagues are blowing up, and that's the philosophy. Let's go into former minor league ballparks. Let's build let's fix up an older stadium and see what we can do and provide this atmosphere of baseball and mascots running around and giving out free stuff to the kids and having a bouncy house. And you see it at ballparks that are 500 seats, and you see it at ballparks like in Madison that can squeeze in 6,000.
Or is this the evolution of the sport? Now, like you said, the Futures League, which is the league I work in, is the same way. It's 8 teams, 7 of them play in former minor league
Yeah.
ballparks. So it's a way to keep those ballparks in use. And as the minor leagues, as Dave, you were saying earlier, the minor leagues are kind of disappearing. The parks are being kept alive by the summer college leagues. So we're talking
Yeah,
evolution.
And does the proliferation of like summer collegiate league, doesn't that add to the idea of regionalism? Right, because nobody's watching these on television. Well,
Right.
maybe somebody's mom is or whatever, but
Well, they're
I
watching
don't
them
even.
on the internet. They're not watching them on
Yeah,
television.
yeah.
And
Here's
like you said, Mark, before the summer leagues were a way to get prospects exposure and experience with wood bats, which were different than the aluminum bats they use in college.
Mhm.
Now it's just a way for people to play 12 months a year. So
here's
Sorry, Dave.
some numbers for you. If you're trying to compare, it's difficult to compare, baseball with other sports, but television is probably the easiest way to compare. Okay, Average number of viewers for the 1978 World Series, 44 million. Number of viewers for the Super Bowl that same year, 74 million. Now, keep in mind, World Series is across a number of days, weekdays, weeknights, and those kinds of things. Super Bowl is one day.
And that year was LA
right?
and New York.
Which year?
78.
For
baseball.
For baseball? Okay.
Yeah.
Yankees, Dodgers.
1999. World Series, 23 million. So basically half. Super Bowl, 88 million. You got a bit of an increase. 2021. How many do you think? How many do you think in the World Series?
If it's linear, then you're talking probably 14 million.
11 million.
I was going to say 15, yeah.
So it is
Super
linear.
Bowl, 99 million.
Yeah.
So the real explosion that we're seeing in football and a decrease in baseball. I think that's partly because, the World Series is a series. It's not, you can't mark it on your calendar. If you want to go look in your phone, you know exactly when the Super Bowl is and where the Super Bowl is. And
people playing parties and they watch the commercials.
Yeah. It's an event. And that's where football has been genius. Everything has been an event for football, whereas baseball has been, baseball is a pastime, right? And that's how it's been marketed as a pastime. It's like a hobby, You do your hobby every night or 3 times a week or whatever. It's not necessarily an event.
Okay, so in an effort to kind of reverse these trends, baseball has decided, all right, we've got to listen to our fans. Our games are taking too long. People are losing interest. How can we make these games more exciting? So they've come up with a whole bunch of new rules this year. Pitch clocks, getting rid of the shift. In the minor leagues, they're looking at automated umpiring, automated strike zones, or when there are human umpires, challenges. And, the challenges have extended to the major leagues, so you can challenge calls on the field. How are these rules, how are they working for baseball, first of all? And then are they going to have their intended effect to make the game quicker and more interesting and bring some fans back?
Well, I know a lot of people, and these are people my age, love the rules. They love the rules that the game's over in about a little over 2.5 hours. Is that going to bring people back? I think we're going to have to look at that data in a few years and see that. I like the rules. I like the games going a little bit quicker. It's weird though, because there's some days where I'm at the ball game and I'm looking at the innings. I'm like, man, we're at the 7th inning already. I just got here. It's kind of odd at times that how quick the
That's because you don't watch. You just talk to other people. You turn your head and go, wait a second.
I don't. The Savannah Bananas game though, I watched that game and the Thrillbillies game. Those are 2 games I watched. So yeah, it's hard to believe that a lot of people don't like baseball and they find it boring. My father loves soccer. We'll watch every World Cup game. We'll watch, South American games from Argentina and Brazil, but he thinks he take him to a baseball game and he has no clue what the hell's going on. Finds it boring. So yeah, just trying to appeal to maybe like not the diehard baseball fan or the novice, I should say. I like that rule because baseball does go a little bit too long. I also think the last 30 seconds of the NBA game goes too long. If anybody wants to tinker with those rules, I don't need to see 5 timeouts with 10
I'll give you the last
left.
2 minutes.
Oh, one
Yeah.
timeout.
That's
easy.
horrible.
I'll fix it. NBA, 1 timeout per half. Done.
1 timeout. You take it. You don't know what the hell you're doing out there. You need 3 timeouts. You just took a timeout 2 seconds ago.
Well, they have to legitimize their 15 coaches.
I know.
Exactly.
I know.
You got a coach for each
2
chair
timeouts
they
the last
put
2
out
minutes.
now.
That's it, or 1 timeout the last 2 minutes. That's it.
Yeah. Or my dad, when he watches football, American football, he calls it. He's like, "Why are they talking again? they run a play, it's over, they talk again, they run a play, it's boring. So not too many people, I guess, see that as much as they see a baseball game being kind of boring. So yeah, it's
I'm with
I
you.
like I like the rules. If somebody in their 20s, I don't know what they think. Hopefully they like it as well. And
I'm with you on the pitch clock and the quicker game. It's so much better.
Mhm.
I think a real seminal moment for baseball was when they got what they wanted and it was awful. So all those years where they'd have a Yankees Red Sox series and it'd be on
Oh,
it,
8 o'clock
you know,
in
yeah,
prime
they
time.
they
Yeah.
push it back to 8 o'clock,
Mhm.
and then they stretch it out, and instead of it being like
The must-see
exciting,
game.
it was
Yeah.
4 hours.
It would end after midnight out here on the East Coast. And these were two East Coast teams. So none of your fans were still watching.
It was terrible, terrible,
Yep.
and the hardcores loved it, right? Because oh wow, you got to have more baseball, but who wants to watch a 4-hour game? And
Try announcing one.
yeah, oh, barf. Um, the other rules, I don't know. The pitch clock. The pitch clock is a big one because I think it
Oh, the
speeds
bigger
things up.
bases.
The bigger bases, I don't know. I guess there's more running, so I guess that's
More
okay.
stolen bases now. Yeah, that's kind
Yeah.
of funny. Even though there was nothing stopping you from stealing the bases before, I felt like that sort of became out of fashion.
Well, that's
More
also, I think, a
ball.
safety measure. A little bit
Yeah.
safety, a little bit more to get more running back into the game.
Mhm.
Little column A, little column B.
Yeah, steal
I
home.
will say
we
that
should steal home more often.
I will say that with the instant replay, they do it pretty good in baseball. They're pretty quick, and that's it gets to a point in other sports where if it just takes too long, then I don't care. I don't want instant replay if it takes too long.
Yep.
Football, college football can be really bad. They're like, now I don't care if the play's right. I just want it to keep going. Like I'll complain about it for a little bit and then whatnot, but you're just sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. So the instant replay is okay because it goes kind of quick. The shift, I don't know. The shift is all right, I guess. I thought it was funny because it was all about ego, right? Like
I never understood why people just didn't bunt it a couple times down the third baseline and they'll stop
because
shifting.
I'm a power hitter, so I'm just going to hit it over the shift.
Well, that's the analytics.
Or you could have
say,
just dropped it down and ran to first.
Well, the analytics said 1 home run every 10 at bats is better than 10 singles. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, and I like the DH in the National League. No issues with that.
I hate that, but I get it.
I would like, but here's the thing with baseball. I would love to see some other changes. I would love to see a daytime World Series game.
Now, on a weekend, yeah.
On a weekend. Now, would that be an issue with college football than the NFL? Well, I guess maybe, but that'd be really nice to see. Do I want to see a game start at 9 o'clock at night? No, I don't want to see any of that nonsense.
I'm glad they moved the Sundays up to 7.
All playoff games on the weekends should be like 7 or whatever. Like you could, that's 4 o'clock on the East Coast or on the West Coast.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you think about it, if growing up, most of us grew up in the 80s watching baseball in multi-purpose. Well, I'll include Dan in that too. With the vet, we all went to multi-purpose stadiums, except Fenway, to see games. AstroTurf, 60,000 seats. You had seats all the way up on top. It was a much different experience watching baseball than somebody back in the 1950s. And they started making these nice, beautiful ballparks, and people started coming back out. But does that make you a fan of the game or a fan of going out to a baseball game? You're still going to choose a football game to go to where you might be a little more focused on the Patriots or on the Eagles in their Kelly green uniforms than perhaps your other teams.
Well, baseball got away from the Taylor Swift model a long time ago, right? Where why are Taylor Swift concerts so popular? Scarcity. There's hardly any of them, right? So I know, like, my daughter wanted to go. there were very few options.
Cincinnati.
Everybody wanted to go.
Did she play in Canada at all, or
Not yet.
not yet? Okay,
Later, but
later.
to get people in the ballpark. Well, if I don't go today, I guess I could go tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if I don't go tomorrow, then I guess I could go the day after, right? When you got 80 something options as opposed to 8.
Yeah.
Now,
That's a
on
good
the
point.
flip side, the cost of going to a baseball game
Yeah.
is far less than the cost to go to a football game.
Yeah. No,
Right.
a Reds game was, I think, $10 compared to a Bengals game, which was like $64. And that's before they became good too. So yeah, you're absolutely
But
right.
I don't think it'll ever happen. But baseball, to me, baseball would do well to shorten their season
Shorten the
Right, but
season.
even
significantly.
that, when you're talking about shortening the season, what are you talking about? 144 games? That's still every day for 4 or 5 months.
80 games. Well, I
80?
think
You
basketball
want to
and
shorten it that much? Cut it in
no,
half?
I'm not. No, I don't want to do that. I would say hockey and basketball, I wouldn't mind shortening to maybe
They
60
need to show.
games.
Yeah, they need to cut down to like 60.
Yeah, and then now baseball, your playoffs. I mean, growing up until 1995 season, you just had 2 teams for most of our lives. Now you have
You
6.
you just need to shorten the
Every
baseball season as well. But I'm saying, and I know I'm going to be in the minority in this, I don't give a damn about the Phillies playing the Yankees until it matters. I don't care about interleague play whatsoever. Keep it like basketball and keep it make it matter in the playoffs. Make it matter. Well, you know what? I want to see the Yankees or any other American League team when we have to face them for a championship. That's when I care about them. I don't care about you can lose a good chunk of games getting rid of that. I don't care. I don't care about that.
When expansion happens, there's not
Well,
going
that
to
was
be
going to be my follow-up question to that one. Yeah.
there's not going to be a National League or an American League. They're going to.
What do you all think of that panel? Eastern
I hate it.
Conference and Western Conference
Ooh.
in
Hate it.
baseball.
Boring.
Fine.
Same old.
Geographically, the way my mind works, that probably does make sense. And I think baseball has always evolved. I mean, Mike Veck or Bill Veck, I'm sorry, was talking about this, back in 1961, that baseball should be regionalized. Yankees and Mets and Red Sox and Philly should all be in the same division because they're all very close to each other. So,
Ooh, that's a killer division.
get rid of the Braves. You know what? If you could get rid of the Braves, I'm for it. I'm sick of those guys messing up.
Yeah, but how exciting! And hockey.
Yeah, Rangers, Devils,
could
and
have done
Islanders.
this, but they don't anymore. How exciting is a World Series be with real rivals, right? Like we used to have Stanley Cup where it was the Bruins and the Canadians and the Leafs and the Canadians, and like we're never going to have that again, never.
Nope.
And I mean, Mark, you're a New York guy. How exciting was the Subway Series?
In 2000, not exciting. Mets lost 4-1, but it was.
Yeah, but
the anticipation, yes. The Mets won the World Series for the first time in 14 years. You're like, yeah, bring on the Yankees.
So are you talking, Dave, like the NHL used to do?
The Oakland San Fran one?
Yeah.
That was so exciting.
Series.
It caused an earthquake.
Yeah.
So you're saying you're in favor of going 1 through 16 with the playoff teams? Kind of like the WNBA does?
In hockey?
In any sport.
I just don't see it as necessary to have an East Coast West Coast team. I don't have the economics behind it, and I get the whole travel thing, but yeah, it does nothing to excite me. So actually, even if you're going to do a conference like that, what I would do to change things up is I would flip it. So the odd number teams in the East, let's say, would play the even number teams in the West. So like you'd have one the one
One
seed
East
in the
against
East would play the 8 seed West, and flip it that way.
interesting.
But I like having I liked the National League the way it was. I even liked that it had different rules. I was okay with that. The strategy piece of the National League I liked, which is now gone with the DH. But I like that you have teams in the American League that are in the West and in the National League that are in the West. So I would prefer to stay the way it is. Football is the same, right? Like, you have an AFC West, you have an NFC West. And it doesn't really, it kind of goes back to the whole AFL NFL merger, but nobody really thinks of it in those terms anymore. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure baseball will continue reinventing itself until it gets right. I know at one time when they introduced night baseball, I wasn't around back then, but I read books. People complain about that. They're like, how could you play baseball at night? That's insane. And could you imagine what they were saying about AstroTurf? Back in the 1960s and 70s. I know I've read some articles about when they moved into the multi-purpose stadiums. There was a lot of positives because they were coming back. They were moving from old, fallen apart relics that were not in great neighborhoods. So, sometimes
AstroTurf was created because
the Astros couldn't.
Because grass won't grow inside.
The Astrodome, they had to paint some of the panels because the glare from the sun, because the panels were translucent, but then when they painted the panels, then the grass wouldn't grow, so they had to put in this fake grass, because otherwise they'd be playing on, I don't know what they'd be playing on,
dirt,
carpet.
Yeah, I like baseball the way it is. I love going to ballparks. You're talking to three guys here that travel many, many miles and kilometers to see a baseball game, from the summer collegiates all the way to the major leagues. We love it.
There is no way I would drive thousands of kilometers to see a summer college game. Wait a second.
Yes,
unless Paul was being the announcer.
Brockton Rocks, is that summer collegiate?
It is. And there was a contingent from Stadium Journey giving me a hard time that night.
Yeah, well, I know there's people that Bart Wilhelm, if he's listening, he hops in a plane and he'll go check out a Pecos League game, which I'd probably do that too if I had the job where I can work remotely. But yeah, there's
Mark,
people.
Whenever you post a ballpark thing, I have to look up where it is and what league it's in.
Oh, really?
I never even heard of this place.
Oh, wow. I got to tell myself that, Mark. Not everybody knows where the Cape Girardeau Catfish played. I forgot they played in Missouri. I thought they played in Illinois. I crossed the river. And then I crossed back after the game because I had to go to Marion, Illinois to see the Thrillbillies. I love saying that. So I was in Missouri. Yeah, I was in Missouri for about 3 hours this year. So go show me. Didn't see a lot, but that was a fun trip. My Ballpark Hunter podcast next week will talk all about that epic trip I took. Dealing with Mother Nature and all she had to handle. All I had to do to handle. Nice.
I can't read it. I'm on my phone, guys. So
baseball between 100 and 130 games, crossover playoffs.
I'd like to see them cut the season down.
That's a pretty good number. That was Tim Kepper's.
Yeah, 100 games. Yeah, 100. I mean, I'd be cool with 100.
You know, it'd be perfect. 3 games a week.
Screw that. I say get under 100 games. I mean,
major leagues.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah. Sorry, heck yeah. It's too much. I get it.
Well,
baseball, boo,
Yeah,
apple
and then you
pie,
would-
hot dog. Let's
nobody would hit
go.
60
have
home
a-
runs anymore.
I
you
don't
wouldn't have to have
care. Start it
Nobody would
later.
win 20
roster.
games. Well, nobody
Start it
wins
late.
20 games
Fine.
now.
No cares. Move it Move it later.
Yep.
Keep your
Baseball
boys.
season should not start in March. You're right, Dan.
No,
April
You're
7th.
sorry,
That-
it's still too
April- yeah.
freaking cold.
You're
Go
right.
later. End in October still, for Christ's sake.
April 7th was the historic start.
Yep.
But you can move that. It always should start in Cincinnati with the Finley Parade, which is awesome. Should not start in Japan or any other country or any other city in the US or Canada. Cincinnati, that's where it should start. And then that's it. You can play the rest of the
Just
season.
start in a city that doesn't have any baseball, like Montreal.
Yeah.
Just
Well-
think about how
You can play an exhibition game there with all the time you have off now.
how much better the rosters would be if you only needed three starting pitchers.
Oh,
Well,
That'd be
you know what? Oh,
That means
geez,
we
all
could
you
get
would
rid of
get
Aaron
is
Nola.
all you would do is have like 6 guys on the team who could all throw like 150 miles an hour because they would only be throwing 3 times a week. Everybody would pitch an inning and a half or something.
That's more for my
It'd
entertainment.
be crazy.
Actually,
Good.
there's something that I didn't think I would like that I actually did like was the you got to pitch to 3 guys rule. I'm
Oh, but
I
that
didn't-
takes away the National League strategy, Dave.
well,
Blah, 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 blah.
I would tweak it slightly and say that you can make a pitching change between innings. It doesn't matter, right? Where now, if you bring in a reliever, he has to face 3 batters regardless of when it is. So I don't really care if it's like you don't gain anything by making that guy come out again. In fact, you could quite honestly could make it longer because you got to bring that guy out for another 2 innings, and then maybe you're going to pull him anyway. I don't know.
All right, guys. So let's wrap up our discussion of old man yelling at clouds here. If you were the commissioner of baseball, do you have a rules idea or something that would just make the game more appealing and bring baseball back to its former glory? Or even just a little tweak that would help improve the product?
After a batter gets hit with the ball, he's allowed to throw the bat at the pitcher.
No. People would tune in for that.
Absolutely
Something,
do
wouldn't
that. Absolutely.
All right, Dave, for years, there's something along those lines. You know how like hockey, if you're the 3rd man in, you're automatically suspended, kicked out of the game, et cetera, et cetera?
Yep.
Same in baseball. You charge the mound, it's you and the pitcher. If anybody else joins in, they're going to get suspended. So that way, if you're charging the mound, you're actually going to be able to fight them. You're not going to get just tackled by
I
everybody
like
and
that.
end up in a big dog pile.
Or you can just put in a headlock like Nolan Ryan did to Ventura and just pop him
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
It could go very badly for you. You're right.
I there's not a year that goes by I don't watch that and just laugh at him. I'm like, old man whooped your ass.
That's what happens when you go out there without a plan.
If I can do anything, I guess in seriousness, this would never ever happen. But I would push the walls back in some of those little short porches like Yankee Stadium and in Boston, and yeah, I'd like to see the ball in play more. The Jays beat the Angels the other day 5-1 or 4-1, and there were 5 home runs in the game. Contrary to what Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa would say, like that's not interesting. That's 4 solo home runs or 5 solo home runs. I don't care about that. So,
which would be one thing if there weren't 30 strikeouts in the game as well.
Yeah, it's that all or nothing, right? You're strikeout
exactly.
or home run. That sucks. But apparently,
why you think a ground ball to second base is exciting, Dave?
It can be
more contact. I mean,
yeah, I'm with you
apparently-
guys. I was just acting like.
apparently
trolls.
Theo Epstein is working in the baseball office, and he's really into getting changes and that's a big thing for them is more balls in play more running.
You know
more
what they
action.
need? Remember when you were playing wiffle ball and you had a kid who couldn't hit that well, so you'd give him the big fat bat, the big fat yellow one?
Batter
Maybe they need the
bats.
big fat yellow bats for the major leagues, so you could have more contact.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think me with the change, 7-inning games. I used to love the 7-inning doubleheaders. I thought that was a great idea. I would not be opposed to having tie games after 10 innings, but I think the man on second
Oh my God.
defeats that purpose. And then another rule, foul outs. 4 fouls, that's it. You're out. That counts as a strikeout.
The dumbest
So you're not a
thing.
fan of those epic 13 pitch at bats?
I mean, if it's your player and he gets a game-winning home run, yes. So, but you know, yeah, those epic 13-inning at bats. Like, how many foul balls? I also like. I don't know if baseball was experimentus in the Atlantic League. You can steal first on a pass ball. I didn't think that was a bad idea. I kind of like that.
That was interesting.
Yeah, that wasn't. And I think banana ball does that for the Savannah Bananas. Now I'm not going to say if a fan catches a foul ball, that's it out. No, I don't want that. But yeah, stealing first. I think the Atlantic League did that. I don't know if they still do. Yeah. Yeah, I got some radical ideas. I'm not saying that they should be Major League Baseball. Maybe I would create a league where you just play 7-inning games. I've seen it. I've seen it in some amateur games in Pennsylvania and down in South Carolina. You would play a 7-inning game. I know I've talked to one GM for the Florence Yalls. He said it would really reduce the amount of pitchers. He wouldn't have to carry so much and worry about the insurance on their arms. So that can help out a lot. Yeah. I got some ideas. Maybe one day they'll be practical. Maybe we'll have orange or yellow baseballs.
Hey, go back 30 years and look at what baseball was, or go back 50 years and look at what baseball was like. Maybe it's going to look something like that in 30 years.
Pullover jerseys. No more button jerseys. Everything's pullover. Except the Yankees, maybe, Tigers.
Stirrups. Every team
No.
has to wear stirrups.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't like stirrups. Stirrups always gave me cramps in my foot. I don't know why. I think
Pajama
that was all in my hair.
bottoms. Oh, that looks terrible. I'm an old man.
And
With
the
don't like the pajama
White
pants.
Sox have to have white socks.
Well, if the White Sox, with their all black jerseys, it would be a good idea to have all white socks. I'm with you there. Do they have all white socks? I never even noticed that. Let's see.
They never have. They always have black socks.
Let me check out.
They're reliving their cheating past.
1919, man.
Not Shoeless Joe. He never wore white socks.
Never wore shoes either.
Well, that just
I love
seems
how all these
irresponsible.
teams were named after the socks they wore. Red Sox, Cardinals, Browns.
Hey,
Stockings.
Yeah, stockings.
All right. So after so I hope you enjoyed a bunch of old men shouting at clouds. Back in my day. That's where we'll wrap it up today. Remember, you can check us out on our website, stadiumjourney.com. We're on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Stadium Journey. Like, follow, share, comment. Stadium Journey podcast audio versions, great for listening in your car. Just pick up your phone, type in HIAC Talk Radio Network, and we'll be there. If you like to watch a podcast, just go to our YouTube page. And if you want to be part of our studio audience, every other Tuesday night, so that means in 2 weeks, the 15th, we'll be back, danlaw.tv. So, Dan, where can our listeners follow you on the internet?
It would
Apparently
help
nowhere.
if I had my microphone on. It would be very helpful. Danlaw 83.
All right. And Mark, you got any trips planned for the next couple of weeks before we get together again?
Yes, Seattle Mariners be in Seattle next weekend for 4 days. Hopefully the Seattle Storm. So usually I go regional. This time I'm going to the Pacific Northwest. So
nice.
Hopefully wife will let me go to 2 games. I was trying to do an Everett Aqua Sox game, but they're out of town. So anyway, check me out on Ballpark Hunter on Twitter and YouTube and Instagram. I have the Banana Ball video up, the Throwville Throwbillies video up. Those are fun little wacky exhibition games where they tinker with the rules. Stuff we're talking about today they actually do. So watch those every Monday. New videos out.
All right. And Dave, you got any stadium journeys planned? And where can our listeners follow along?
Yeah, this Saturday, my brother-in-law is taking me to see the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So Oski Wee Wee, Oski Wawa. And then the Ontario Junior Lacrosse League playoffs or finals series is starting. Orangeville against Burlington. So I'm hoping to catch a game or two of those, but I'm not really sure at what point that's going to happen. And I think I might be going to the Kitchener Panthers this week as well. So you could follow that on X. That sounds so stupid, doesn't it? Follow that on X.
What is the reason behind that anyway?
I like X. I'm a 5-year-old that likes shiny things. I named it X.
Anyway, Twitter, Twitter, Facebook,
Threads,
Threads, Instagram, YouTube.
Hi,
at Profan9.
Blue Sky.
I forgot about Threads.
I didn't.
Threads.
I like.
I think I
Threads.
called it something else earlier.
If they tweak it just a little bit, I would like Threads more than Twitter immediately like that. I can't snap, but just pretend I snapped. Journey
Stadium
snap,
Journey
really? Day at after the carpal tunnel surgery.
Okay, well that
after
makes sense.
Carpal tunnel surgery, I got nothing, man.
Huh.
Yeah,
Trivial fact about
fun.
me: I snap with different fingers on each hand.
You're weird.
I am weird. Yes, thank you for noticing.
Tim Capper says Stadium Journey Day at Percival Wilson Stadium.
Oh,
like it.
Yeah, I was there.
Get your passports.
I would love to do it. I
Yeah,
looked down inside it from the top of Mount Royal about a month ago. Actually, it was a month ago.
It was fun.
All right,
It
so
was
let's
fun.
see. What am I
No
doing?
touchdowns. Tim has to promise us touchdowns if we come.
All right, so let's see. What do I got planned? Let's see. The Futures League season is winding down. I have 2 games left. Then the Savannah Bananas are coming to town, so we're looking forward to that up in Brockton at Campanelli Stadium. And stay tuned this offseason for some big news in Brockton. I can't tell you yet, but it's big.
Ooh.
It's big in its news. And then the following weekend, all right, listeners, maybe you can help me out. We got to decide where we're going. Pam and I both end up having a long weekend off. So we haven't figured out where we want to go, though. We got 4 choices. Choice 1, just going over to New York City, catching 4 games in 2 days in New York City. 4 ballparks we haven't been to in a while. The Mets, the Long Island Ducks, Staten Island Ferry Hawks, and I forgot who the 4th one was. Somerset Patriots?
Yankees?
Somerset Patriots?
Somerset Patriots sounds right. So that's one choice. Another choice, going down to Washington, D.C., and all the other ones are the same exact drive, about 7 hours for us. Going down to Washington, D.C., catching the Nationals, catching the Phillies on the way back. So 2 major league ballparks. Choice 3, going out to Altoona, a ballpark we have not been to, which would finish the Eastern League. Which would finish the Eastern League for us. And I think on that trip we would also do Scranton because Meredith from The Office is going to be there.
Oh,
so that would be another
Christ.
choice. The other choice would be going to Quebec and spending the weekend up in Quebec and catching a couple games up there. A ballpark which has not been reviewed by Stadium Journey yet. So I think that's the leader in the clubhouse. But
I mean, I'd have
one
to
of
go
those
to, I'd
4
have to
trips-
go to Altoona.
Altoona.
I would
That's
not go to
actually-
Altoona.
That's actually
because
my,
not only can you go to the curve game, but then you can go to the actual horseshoe curve.
That's true. I've been on a horseshoe curve though.
You can
so
get that Altoona pizza with where they serve it
There's
with
an
American cheese.
that sounds disgusting.
Yeah, it sounds disgusting. It looks disgusting, but
but it's delicious. One of those
that's
things.
what they like out there.
It feels
If you go to Scranton Wilkes-Barre, you get to have Old Forge Pizza, which is near the stadium up in Musica.
I've had that.
Yeah.
All right, so you can see which one we choose online at Puckman RI, Facebook, Twitter, Threads, all those good places.
All right.
And that's where we're going to wrap it up for this week. So join us again in 2 weeks. We don't have a topic decided as of yet, but I know it will be awesome when we figure one out.
Probably be arena football.
I hope.
Because we need
Probably
to do
not
another arena football show.
Yeah.
We
Well,
should,
no,
we
when
should
it
do
is
another
yet.
arena football.
Once
There
they
may
announce
be
the
a team in
cities, sure.
Cincinnati, or there may not be. So
Just saying.
we'll find
Just
out.
saying. Tim's right there, man.
Yeah, Tim sent me a message. He's like, relax. They'll make an announcement. So he knows. He knows.
So thanks
Cincinnati
again
Oil
for joining
thing.
us. For Dan, for Mark, for Dave, this is Paul wishing you all close games and safe travels. See you on the road again real soon.
Adios.